Steelers, Bengals, tomorrow, preview, Big Deke news. I think if I was feeling lazy today, I would just say, yeah, Jamar Chase summed up the preview for tomorrow. That's it, show over. But we got other stuff to react to. And in terms of Steelers, Bengals tomorrow, we'll preview what I think is going to take place, and that's a football game. I don't know what Jamar Chase is thinking is going to happen tomorrow, but in terms of the football game, how it's going to play out, I'll get into that. I'll give you my parlays, my picks, my predictions, all that shit, because we hit last week. Nice parlay. I got another one cooked up for you. But first, I need to address some of the comments and speculation from yesterday's video, because it probably seems like I'm putting out some mixed messaging with how I reacted to Tomlin's assessment of Joe Flacco going to the Bengals. And I just want to make it clear, I'm not. I just think Tomlin went overboard with the Flacco praise. Like, I don't remember ever Flacco being that good outside of his little Super Bowl run and then his little stint with the Browns at the end of, 2023? Because, he's an average to below average quarterback. Always has been. Now, he is an upgrade over Browning, so I obviously see why Tomlin's pissed off. And I get whenever you're the head coach of the team that's about to go up against Joe Flacco and the Bengals on a short week, division rival, you want to be on as high alert as possible. You don't want to be overlooking the opponent, because that's the thing. Just last week going in the Browns game, wasn't I talking about how sometimes we're too lackadaisical in these potential letdown games whenever we're playing an inferior opponent? Now we're playing another inferior opponent coming up, and a quarterback that, again, I don't think is that good or that special or anything, but does have a big arm. And I'm saying, like, oh, man, Tomlin's praising him too much. I don't want to get the mixed messaging out there. Obviously, we got to take care of business this game. We shouldn't be overlooking the opponent. That's all a given. I just thought Tomlin's praise of Flacco was just a tad overboard. That's all. I thought it was a little excessive.
Does it appear to be hard for Joe Flacco?
But again, if that's the message he's got to get out into the media to get his team prepared mentally for this upcoming matchup, so be it. I think that's good coaching. That's good preparation on Tomlin's part. And hopefully the play on the field reflects that, and we look like what we did last week against the Browns in this one, and we win by double digits, and we look like the superior team, as we're supposed to. But next, yesterday the Steelers brought in a potential Miles Killebrew replacement. His name is George Odom.
Who?
And he plays secondary, kind of like Miles Killebrew. It honestly would be as close of a one-to-one replacement as you can get. We do think Miles Killebrew is better. This would be somewhat of a downgrade. But George Odom has also made some All-Pros back in his day. I can't say back in his day. He's not that old. But in 2020, he was a first-team All-Pro with the Colts. In 2022, he was a second-team All-Pro with the 49ers for his special teams. Again, he's a cornerback, like secondary guy, but you don't want him playing snaps on defense, just like the Steelers don't want Miles Killebrew playing snaps on defense, because if that's the case, then you're in trouble in terms of defense. You're definitely going on the bottom of your depth chart to see if you can scrap out of a stadium if Miles Killebrew or George Odom is out there playing significantly. So who knows what happens of it. We brought him in for the workout. I guess we're going to try to see, at least for this game with the Bengals, if we can replace Miles Killebrew in-house with various players. Maybe there's one guy that's a little bit better in the kick return department and another guy that is better in the punt return department, and hopefully combined they can somewhat equate to Miles Killebrew's contribution, but we know that's going to be tough to do because Miles Killebrew is a special teams ace. But I like the Steelers doing their due diligence here and bringing on a guy that has been there, done that in terms of the Miles Killebrew role with his various teams that he's been on in the past with the Colts and the 49ers. I do wonder why he's available right now, but it's probably just due to teams value special teams a little bit less than the Steelers, where if you can't contribute on offense and defense, that makes you less valuable, where Steelers are willing to keep a guy like Miles Killebrew, who we're not expecting to do anything on, the main aspects of football, and specifically with Miles Killebrew, he's a defensive player. Like, we're not expecting him to do anything, but you're so good on special teams, we're going to keep you around. I bet you just some other teams don't view special teams like that, and they hope for you to contribute actually on defense or offense in some sort of capacity. And then if you can do special teams, then it's just added value. I mean, that's my guess. Teams just don't look at special teams the way the Steelers do, where if you're not able to contribute immediately on offense or defense or have the potential long-term of contributing there, then teams just won't keep you around. But, yeah, Steelers will have dudes where you're looking at them like, bro, we don't expect you to do anything on offense and defense. I'm not even talking about Miles Killebrew, but you're decent at special teams. You're a good gunner. We'll keep you around, at least for this season, because that's what we're focused on, and we value special teams like that. But let's get to this Steelers-Bengals preview.
Icy hot ball. I love it.
All right, we'll open it up for questions here from the media.
I would say the thing or things that I'm most worried about in this game from a Steelers standpoint would be the Bengals' weapons of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, and the fact that Joe Flacco has a big arm and is willing to take risks and throw it up to those type of guys and have them make plays, or put it in the refs' hands and have them throw flags for pass interference. And the second thing would be us overlooking our opponent. But I don't think the second one's going to happen. I've been saying this team's different. We're not doing that anymore in 2025. But this is another test for that. Because the Browns, I would say, was that first test for us, coming off of those couple big wins, Patriots, Vikings, off the bye, at home against rookie quarterback, lesser opponent. We took care of business. This is another one because we're dealing with even more success. 4-1, number 2 seed in the AFC. Everyone's talking about us being legit contenders, moving up the ranks. Aaron Rodgers playing good. And then we got the short week against the Bengals. You know, they're sucking. The rest of the AFC North is sucking. They get Joe Flacco in there for only 8 days as their starting quarterback, making his second start. Bengals defense is dismal. So it's like, what's the mentality? Do we take care of business? Because that's it, really. I'm telling you. Look at this Bengals team. Look how they've been playing. It's Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Joe Flacco, like, luck factor. That's it. Their defense sucks, both stopping the run and stopping the pass. They don't really have that good of an offensive line. Their run game, they haven't put up 100 yards on the ground at any point this season. I don't even know if they've cracked 75 or 80 yards rushing on offense yet. So it's going to come down to Joe Flacco getting the Bengals playmakers the ball. If they could do that successfully, it can make things interesting. So that's my key for the game for the Steelers. On defense, you got to put a lid on it. It's going to be interesting. I'm not going to lie. I'm trying to think through of how we should go about this defensively. And it's like, obviously, we want to rush the passer. We want to make Joe Flacco uncomfortable. But at the same time, we probably want to help out the cornerbacks a little bit on Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, specifically Jamar Chase. So I think that second corner, whoever's going to be taking on T. Higgins is going to have a big game. I don't know what the allocation is going to be. Maybe it's going to be split between Ramsey, Slay, and Joey Porter Jr. throughout the course of the game. Try to keep the Bengals on their toes with that. But we're going to have some help on Jamar Chase, most likely. And then everyone else is going to have to win their one-on-ones, and that could leave a free guy to either help in coverage or help with the blitz and do some unpredictable stuff like that. So I think it comes down to that one-on-one matchup with T. Higgins, whoever that second cornerback is. And then anyone else obviously got to win their one-on-one matchups like Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson against the tight ends, or even Deshaun Elliott against the tight ends and running backs. And then that third corner, whoever that is, winning in the slot against Yoshivas. But I like us there. That second one, obviously, with T. Higgins, he's a tier above the Bengals tight end and running back and slot receiver in terms of talent and playmaking. So that's why I'm saying he's the focus, and we got to win the pass rush, man. Like, hopefully with 4 and then max 5. Outside of that, you know, you're getting in trouble by not being able to help on the outside on a Jamar Chase or potentially a Higgins. And then on offense, it's just simple. Do what you did last week against the Browns, and I think this should be a way easier matchup given that they're worse in run defense and worse in pass defense by a significant margin compared to Cleveland. So we're a balanced team, man. We're able to run the ball. Rodgers is accurate. He's picking his spots. I think that's what it comes down to. Just trust Rodgers to get us in the right play, make the right decision with the football, and that's that. And he's been doing it through the course of this year, through 5 weeks, and I don't see that randomly changing this week. He's been playing at an excellent level. So now it's the Bengals defense. All of a sudden that's going to change? No, I don't think so. We just went up against a top 5 defense, I guess, in most categories or rankings with the Browns defense. Now we face one of the bottom defenses in the league, both in pass defense, run defense. I'm sure Rodgers is going to be fine navigating that. Now my parlay for the week. I don't know if I'm feeling better or worse about this one, but in one aspect I'm feeling better because I saw on FanDuel there was a no sweat parlay promo, so I could put $10 on a parlay as long as it's over plus 400, and if I lose, I get my money back to use on another bet. So this is nice. I got nothing to lose with this one, but I like my chances. Even though it's plus 427 on the odds, I could see all these things happening. Pittsburgh Steelers money line. TJ Watt to record a sack. Now, he's been on a heater, but we know where all the buzz is going right now in terms of Wisconsin edge rushers for the Steelers. It's been Herbig. So I think TJ, I'm not saying jealous, right? I know he's happy for Herbig, but you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. He's like, all right, Herbig's getting his. Let me remind you guys, I'm still TJ Watt, though. So he's going to get at least a sack, I think. I mean, that's why I'm putting him in the parlay. And then Jalen Warren, DK Metcalf. I like this one. Either player, anytime touchdown score. So if Jalen Warren catches a little pass down in the red zone, scores a touchdown, or we hand it off to him at the 2, that's going to count. Or Aaron Rodgers throws a fade ball up to DK Metcalf. That's going to hit on this one. I just feel like the Steelers are going to be fine against this Bengals defense. And either Jalen Warren, DK Metcalf, we know they get a lot of targets, a lot of snaps, a lot of carries their way. I think a touchdown's going to happen for either one of them. And then Rodgers, over 175 passing yards. Jalen Warren, 48.5 rushing yards. And with Rodgers, that passing yard stat seems a little bit low. I just don't know what the flow of the game is. I think we could dominate on the ground, and Jalen Warren has a $120, a $130. Kenneth Gainwell ends up with like 60 or 70 yards on the ground, and we have 200 total rush yards, and Rodgers doesn't have to do much through the air. So that's why I like the 175 plus, just something to throw into this to get the parlay odds up to that plus 400. And then Jalen Warren over 48.5 rushing yards. I think he's going to have a game. I think his floor, me personally, is like 70 yards rushing because we're going to have success on the ground, and there's going to be really no reason to be going away from it outside of we want to throw a play action in there and get an explosive play here or there to try to keep the Bengals defense off balance. That's my parlay. If I had to add one or two after the fact, I was thinking DK Metcalf over on the receiving yards just like I did last week because, again, if you look at our weapons, outside of DK, who's Rodgers throwing the ball to? Like, he's getting, probably at least 7-8 targets a game. Again, and against this Bengals defense, yeah, I think he's going to get probably at least almost like Jalen Warren. I think the floor's around 60 or 70 yards. I would throw that in, and maybe I would throw a Herbig sack in as well because he's been on a heater. I mean, we were just talking about that with TJ Watt potentially recording a sack. Herbig, seems like every game he's getting after it, and I don't see us lessening his snaps going into this one. So my final score prediction, Steelers. It's either going to be a shootout and our defense lets us down a little bit, or it's a score like last week against the Browns. What was my prediction for the Browns game? I can't even remember. Was I close? Because we won 23-9. I feel like, did I predict like 24-7? Something like that, 21-7? I don't think I was too far off in the prediction. So I don't think our defense is going to let us down, though. I think defense has a ton of momentum. And Tomlin, the way he's talking about Flacco, the way he's talking about this Bengals offense, I think we're on high alert. And Deshaun Elliott said it in his press conference, too. It's like, there's nothing to get high about. We shit the bed last year when we were 10-3 and everyone was talking about us. We learned from that lesson. We learned. And we got the new pieces like Rodgers, Ramsey, Darius Slay, keeping us in line, where we don't have like that old Steeler mentality from the last several years. I almost like the score from last week, like a 23-9, but we'll just add one on each. I like 27-10, actually. 27-10. I was going to say 24-10. I think the offense puts up some numbers tomorrow if all goes well. And I don't see why not. Again, we could be scarred from some of these last Steeler teams where we're on these highs and then have the letdown, and then it's this whole like rut that we're in. But I don't get the vibe from this year's team. I really don't. I think Rodgers is only getting better as these weeks are going on. Same with the offense, and then we're seeing it with the defense. 27-10. That's my final score prediction. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed. Stay chilling. Peace.